Hello everyone, my name is Amara Mist, and this video is going to be a guide on how to grind Foraging XP, Heart of the Forest XP, and Whispers all at the same time, and that's fig grinding. I haven't seen many foraging guides on YouTube lately, and so I wanted to show my method just so that everyone can be just as sweaty as me. There's a little bit of technical details and stuff. As for credentials, I have Foraging 54 with over 61 million overflow XP. I have 12.1 million Forest Whispers, and I have a Fig PB of 534,000 flogs, which is the highest I've seen, at least. So yeah, let's get started. Yes, so let's get to the gear that you need. Do note that fortune doesn't really matter here. We're not really doing this for the Fig collection itself, although it does help with contests. And I guess if you're going for 10 mil, whatever. But if you're like hyper broke, like really broke, then you should prioritize things with sweep and mobility over fortune. Right, so with that, the number one absolute most important thing that you need is an Aspect of the Void with Ether Transmission. You do not need Enderman's level 6 to use an Aspect of the Void with Ether Transmission, but you need one to put the Ether Transmission on a Aspect of the Void. So Iron Man players, you're out of luck. Broke bitches, you're out of luck. But everyone else, you need to have one. Put Ultimate Wise on it too. This is the most important part about Fig collection by far. Other than that, as far as equipment goes, you do the Mangrove equipment with the David's Cloak. My David's Cloak is not mythic because I am said broke bitch. So yeah, this would give you like 100 sweep. That's the most sweep you're gonna get from equipment by far. Even more than like your axe. And as far as armor goes, you want to have Fig mail armor. The Forest Pledge and the Perfect Gemstones are optional, but the sweep boosters, all that, are not. This will give you 36 extra sweep. And then as far as pets go, if you're like rich and you want to forage a lot and you think you're going to be still foraging a lot when the next update comes out, it's pretty good to get a Jade Dragon. If you can't do that, then the Ocelot pet is great if you're still below Foraging 54, and the Frog is really good just to level for profit if you want. Now that we know all the gear that we need, let's go to the Heart of the Forest. Your tree is going to look like this. You're going to go up through center of the forest to grab Forest Speed and Forest Strength. Then you're going to come down through Forage Strength to get Monster Hunter, Foraging Madness, and Lottery, and Luck of the Forest. And then you want to grab Tree Whisperer, and then this last one literally doesn't matter. All of these perks are terrible. I put it on like Collector or Early Bird or literally anything, it doesn't matter. So in terms of perks you want to max first, remember you want to get as much sweep as possible. Maxing out the first sweep perk first is really good. And then you want to get to around level 30 to 40 on Forest Strength and Forest Speed. That's around where it gets really expensive to start leveling up. Luck of the Forest actually impacts the Whispers that you get from tree gifts. And it also impacts Heart of the Forest XP on the big trees if you're not Heart of the Forest 7 yet. Other than that, Foraging Fortune is nice and cheap. You want to get Efficient Forager up if you're leveling J-Drag or whatever. And then Daily Wishes is really good if you're just starting out because it gives you like 80,000 Whispers a day, and so it'll pay itself off like day one. Other than that, nothing really matters. You can get like Essence Fortune, but yeah, everything after that kind of doesn't matter. You just start dumping in Strength and Speed. All right, now that we're all set up to start foraging, I'm just going to do a quick recap on how sweep works and how you can make the most of your time foraging. When you break one part of a limb, it starts like breaking automatically. If you try and like break more parts of the limb, it doesn't really get any faster. And so the basic idea of foraging is to be cutting as many, you want to cut like 1 or 2 blocks from each limb individually, and then let it all play out. And you want to be like leaving for the next tree while the tree gift is happening. So here I'll give an example. With this big tree, I'm gonna break the trunk and then go on top of this branch here. I'm gonna go around and break 1 or 2 blocks from every branch, and then it'll break on its own like that. And here I can do the same thing, falling down. And I can break 1 or 2 blocks from every branch, leave, go to the next one. All right, so just to briefly summarize, the point of doing it like that is to have as many different sweep chains going on at all given times, right? You want to eliminate as much downtime as possible. The more time you're using to teleport to the next tree, the more time that a fig log is not breaking, the less good you are at video games. Downtime is enemy number 1. I've seen other people talk about like fig routes or whatever that they use with like waypoints and whatever. A fig isn't like mining necessarily. Personally, I've never used a route. I've just ran around looking at whatever tree is in front of me and then cutting it. It really helps as long as you just cut down the big trees, honestly. Hello, this is VoiceOver Mist, and you're watching footage from me fig farming right after recording that. I'll be explaining the process for each kind of tree and showing relevant footage in slow motion. For small and medium figs, you want to teleport to the tree, and then you want to jump up to break the trunk, and then you want to keep jumping to hit each branch once. Some important notes, you want to break the branches from highest to lowest in order so that you jump less. Now for the big figs, you have 2 options at the start. You could TP to the top of the trunk, and fall down to break it, or you can go to the bottom of the trunk, jump, and then break it on the way up. Once you break the trunk, you want to ether warp to a now exposed branch near the middle of the tree, and then spin around to break 1 or 2 blocks of each branch, and then you want to hit the one you're standing on last. And then once you do, you want to teleport out before the tree gift happens. There are a lot more important notes on here. If you're using your axe throw at all, you've already fucked up. If you didn't get the tree gift with just melee, you've already fucked up. Teleporting to the top first may be a little bit awkward depending on what angle you're coming at the tree from, but it'll let you line up your ether warp easier since you're not trying to do it while falling. And then finding an appropriate branch to ether warp to may take time and practice and map knowledge, but taking a quarter of a second to line up your teleport takes less time than mashing right click to get to the nearest small tree. And then if you don't have enough sweep, like I do here in this Ocelot clip, it's pretty easy to just not get the tree gift. When this happens, you do want to just leave and not think too hard about it. Don't spend too much time there. Now, lastly, and I cannot overstate this, finish your fucking trees! Tree gifts are the thing that give you XP, Heart of the Forest XP, Essence, and a couple of different rare drops. It's where at least half of the profit of foraging comes from, and you should be doing it to every tree you cut. In addition to those benefits, getting a tree gift makes the respawn timer of the tree immediately start ticking down from 30 seconds, rather than 120 seconds from last break if you don't. Thus, cutting full trees will present you with more trees faster, and not cutting the full tree will prevent it from being efficiently cuttable for the next 2.5 minutes. This normally goes without saying, because the whole point of cutting trees is to cut the logs, and so cutting all the logs would make sense. Unfortunately, players that are stupid and bad at video games have a tendency to only break the trunk and do nothing else when confronted with big fig trees, saying that the trunk is free collection, but the branches are a waste of time. And even if you forget about the tree respawn times for a second, this ignores the fundamentals of the method because you're adding more downtime. When you break the branches, you get a little more collection than an entire small tree's worth of wood, compared to just the trunk, which gives less than half of a small tree's worth. Breaking the branches with the method I described takes about the same amount of time as breaking a small tree in full, without the downtime of teleporting over there. Not to mention how big trees purposefully have 70% of the tree in the branches, which means you only get higher quality tree gifts when you break the branches compared to just the trunk. And that's if you get the tree gift at all. Remember, for you to get any credit at all, someone has to see the tree with its trunk cut off and cut the rest of it down for you,
which means you don't always get the Whisper's XP or essence. So on top of making the big trees inefficient to cut for everybody for nearly 2.5 times as long, they complain about having downtime, by the way. Cutting just the trunk of the big trees gives you less collection, less whispers, and less XP compared to just using your fucking ether warp.
Alright, here's those measurements coming after those fig grinding sessions. Keep in mind the ocelot numbers might be skewed a little, because I forgot to start recording right away, so I'm just using the end of the J-drag as the beginning of the ocelot. So starting off with the J-drag, we went from 61.7 million to 62.8 in 8 minutes and 25 seconds, which is 136,000 XP per minute and 8 million XP an hour. This is interesting, because with Ocelot, we went from 62,800,000 XP to 63,907 XP in 8 minutes and 10 seconds, which is still a little bit less XP per hour compared to the J-drag. This just shows how important sweep is, because with the Ocelot, I'm like doubling back, I'm trying to get tree gifts that I've missed, and that's wasting a ton of time. Moving on to whispers, the J-drag went from 59.2 thousand whispers to 153,000.2 whispers in 8 minutes and 25 seconds, which is 11.1 thousand whispers per minute, or 670,000 whispers an hour. This blows Mangrove out of the water. And then with the Ocelot, we went from 153.2 thousand whispers to 222,000.4 in 8 minutes and 10 seconds. That's a lot worse. That's 8.4 thousand whispers per minute, or 508,000 per hour. And then finally, in terms of contest points, I started the J-drag late, but I had some points left over. I went from 684 to 9,094 in 8 minutes and 25 seconds, which is 1,000 points a minute. That easily makes Divine with multiple minutes of downtime, and it can make Special with thousands over if you're locked in. And then for Ocelot, I went from Common to Legendary in about 8 minutes and 10 seconds. That's 600 points a minute. You can pretty easily make Mythic and Divine with thousands over if you're locked in. I would be surprised if I could make Special with that, though. Alright, so that's the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If this video pops off, I'll do one for Mangrove, which would be really bad for me because I really hate Mangrove. So, I don't know, if you hate me, make my video pop off. My name is Amara Mist, and I will see you when Galatea updates.